Hello, I'm Abby Joyce, an Associate Director of Enrollment at John Carroll University and a proud John Carroll grad from the class of 2008. I'm glad you have selected to view today's presentation that will review exercise science and sports studies at John Carroll. The session will cover the academic programs offered, the hands-on experience students partake in, and the outcomes and successes of our graduates. To discuss exercise science and sports studies, I welcome two faculty members, Brian Biggie and Brooke Turner.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I know these are a little bit different situations and scenarios. You know, we love the celebration event, getting everybody up on campus and seeing faces and meeting people about who may be joining us in the, the class of 2024. But, we'll adjust as the best we can to get you the information that you're looking for, because the one thing that has not changed is your quest to find the right destination for yourselves, and family members for a college and university for the next 4 years of your studies. So what we want to get into a little bit today is talking about our department, what we do, the way we educate, how we align things with the university mission, and just to answer as many questions as we can, hopefully, with the way that our program operates to get students to the career goals of their choice. So when we look at this program here, our mission statement, we thought it was really important to kind of include this mission statement, because one of the things that, especially in sports, and anytime you're working for organizations, you talk about the word alignment, right? And for alignment for us, what I think is really important is the idea that, the pillars of John Carroll's education, when they talk about leadership, character, and service, and then content knowledge, that's what we do here with our mission statement. We talk about those ideas of teaching people about knowledge of science of the human movement and human behavior, while pairing that with relevant skills and application experiences, meaning getting people out into the industry to examine some of the different careers, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But then also to give people an opportunity, to give young people the opportunity to develop dispositions, meaning professional behaviors, things that are going to help them stand out in the workplace, to help them get that job, land that grad school appointment for whatever it is they're looking to get into, whatever those professions are, while at the same time, kind of linking this idea of leadership and service and the dignity of the human person. One of the things that's very unique about John Carroll from some of the other institutions you may be looking at is, the idea that we're a Jesuit institution, and we believe wholeheartedly that it's about the people. It's about relationships that you build with people, about encouraging others to achieve their best, and making the world a better place. And we feel that in our department, exercise science and sports studies, you really can't do that in any other line of work any better, right? Because as we talk about some of these careers that we go into, it truly is about, working with people and making people better, either from a health standpoint, a performance standpoint, or a sport performance standpoint. And so that's what we really try to get across with our mission statement. As a visual of an idea of how this works for us, this formation program, one of the things that, again, we think that it's really important to point out is we are not a pre-profession program, right? We are grounded in the liberal arts. We have this idea that we are forming, the whole person. To kind of coin a Jesuit term of pure personalis, this idea of educating the entire person. And how do we do that? Well, we do that through this diagram, this picture here, right? The curriculum, the education, the classes that you are going to take, the prerequisites that are maybe necessary to get into certain grad programs, right? The idea of skills, working with fieldwork, practicums, and internships. We've grounded 3 levels of experiential learning around the concept of student teaching, where at the beginning, everyone comes in saying they have a plan for what career they may want to go do, but they don't know what they don't know. They don't know all the opportunities that are out there for them, and they sometimes don't know all of the ins and outs of different careers. So we want to make sure right from the rip, freshman year in a 201 foundations class, you get out into the industry and start to examine what is the career really like? What are the ins and outs of it? What are people that are involved in those careers? What do they do on a day-to-day basis? And that's the field work and field observation. A second level of practicum, by definition, is practice, where we want to get you out practicing the skills and learning those dispositions, learning those professional behaviors in a guarded environment. A lot of our students take advantage of on-campus opportunities, working with strength and conditioning, with our different athletic programs, the athletic department, athletic training, our health and wellness center, as well as working with specifically our exercise science and sports studies professors with independent studies, independent research, and things of that nature. And then finally, we ground it with an internship. We round it out with an internship of 150 hours of experience, where we hope at that time you've got some good foundation underneath you, that you're not afraid to take chances and risks. You're not afraid to be a creative thinker and a problem solver, because in the industry, getting the jobs you want, it really comes into all of these aspects in order to be able to, create the individual, the person that you want to become. So who do we lose out to? We lose out to some programs sometimes that are the pre-physical therapy type programs, but that's not who we are, because people may come in as physical therapists, but they may end up as nurses. They may end up as biomechanists or nutritionists, as we'll see in some future slides. So this is the idea, the premise of the program, whether it's exercise science or sports studies for us. When we look at the academic background, the focus of it for both majors, no matter which one it is the idea that the focus is on scientific foundations of human movement and human behavior through classwork, research opportunities, and experiential learning that we've talked about, both within the classroom, meaning getting guest speakers that Dr. Turner is going to talk about in her presentation, but then also focusing on areas of interest, areas of expertise. It's our job as educators to bring in people and to help get placements for people where interest lies. And it's constantly changing. I've been here for about 5 years now, 5-6 years. And I can honestly tell you, every single semester in the different classes I've taught, there's been a different focus of certain careers that people have wanted to go into. It's constantly changing, constantly in flux. So that's our job, to be flexible, to meet those needs and meet those demands, for the students, because it's about them reaching their individual goals, which again, like we said, are very, very different. One of the strengths, something that stands out for our program too, is our one-on-one advising. We're currently doing this right now, even though remotely through Zoom interviews and meetings with our students, a one-on-one advising designed to help each of those individual needs get met. And again, so it could be a variety of things. It could be someone in sports studies that wants to become an athletic director, and helping them align with all the different responsibilities that an athletic director must kind of undertake, and getting them different areas of networking and expertise. Or it could be someone interested in chiropractic, a physician's assistant who has a number of different interdepartmental coursework that they need to take in order to be able to apply for grad school and get into the grad school of their choice. That happens on a one-on-one basis every single semester, and I think that's something that stands out. And then the other thing for us is, being a Division III institution, we try to operate like a Division I institution on a Division III budget, which means we need help. We need free labor, right? That's where students come into play. So just to finish up this point, the idea of the opportunities on campus to develop someone's career, where you're in a guided in a safe environment where you can take risks and learn from mistakes, which we feel is a really big piece of the growing process of the educational process. Additionally, we have a lot of opportunities within the community. We're very lucky to have a great footprint out in the neighboring area, whether it's Northeast Ohio with the medical world of Cleveland Clinic, UH, and Metro Hospital, or with some of the professional organizations like the Cavs, Indians, Browns, and so forth, that Dr. Turner is going to talk about a little bit more, in future slides. So when we look at our two overall majors, not taking too much of what Dr. Turner is going to talk about with the Cleary program in sports studies, for exercise science, the focus is it's all encompassing. Okay, like we said, we're not a pre-anything program. So for us, the ideas of fitness, correct and injury-free movement, motor and sport skill development, the acquisition of new skills, and the refinement of skills already learned, of both the elite athlete, the everyday adult, and then also diverse populations as well, of a number of students that get involved with a lot of adapted physical activity programs and adapted physical activity organizations around Northeast Ohio, and that's a huge a huge need in our community for that. Some minors that align very well with this major: biology, chemistry, psychology, data science, communications, and entrepreneurship. We have students, we're not listing these because we think you can. We have students that are currently involved in some of these minors right now to try to develop some certain skill sets, some certain strengths that they have that they think can position themselves in the marketplace later on. And then, like we said, Dr. Turner is going to talk much more about the sports studies program academically, but just an idea that, again, this is an all-encompassing major, and it's a interdisciplinary major where the gentleman who founded the program wanted to make sure that it was very, it was aligned with multiple departments where we got the students to be experts in those different areas. So some minors that our students look to in developing skills: business, communications, entrepreneurship, leadership, exercise science, and psychology. So all depending on the careers that they want to go into is going to depend on which minor may best suit them. So just to link some of the course content with some of the student research and careers that we want to go into, we have what we call our celebration of scholarship event, where we've been very lucky to have some students that have gone forth and done some research in the exercise science classes, and then be able to present that. So what we see is some students, some graduates of ours that started as exercise science majors, and all three of them started in the physical therapy track, what they wanted to go towards. But Cassie was a student athlete for us with track and cross country. She ended up going into nursing. We have some students that went into not only nursing but biomechanics. Crystal Hayek, she started again in physical therapy, was a student athlete for us, and she's now at Ball State as a graduate assistant, working in the kinesiology and biomechanics department. And then Madeline Rick ended up going into nutrition for us. We have Nick Colby, who again was another student athlete for us, who did a study on transformational leadership and collegiate athletic coaching, but he actually is going on is at Ohio State for physical therapy. A picture of the three ladies that were doing their research through class and contract studies that we've had with University Heights Fire Department. And then finally, a couple of gentlemen that are doing on athletic director competencies. These were our sports studies students. So our sports studies program only being 4 years old at the time, it makes some sense that there's less students getting involved in the scholarship at this point, but that's been growing exponentially, that Dr. Turner can talk about a little bit more when she gets into her slides. We mentioned the firefighters, and this is just some pictures to illustrate our University Heights Fire Department that have come through and contracted with our exercise science and sports studies department to get fitness testing and assessments done, to help them with their union contracts, to help them with their healthcare benefits in their contracts with the city. And it allows our students, as you can see, Dr. Farnell and Dr. Zara, that are doing some research there, that have conducted the data and research. But then these are the firefighters that are able to, get these results for them, and our students that have been able to administer the programs and get some very valuable experience. This University Heights Fire Department contract has expanded to the police department and also Shaker Heights Fire, and in talks with Shaker Heights Police right now as well. So some great community involvement. When we talk about the major itself, again, we talked about foundational knowledge. We're not preparing you for any type of certain career, but as you look at this screen, fitness and wellness, strength and conditioning, athletic training, physical therapy, occupational therapy, exercise rehab, such as cardiovascular rehab and respiratory therapy, nutrition, nursing, chiropractor, and medical sales. Every single one of these careers, we have graduates that are currently either in that graduate level work or are currently in those roles, in those careers. So it's a point of emphasis for us to say, we're not going to prepare you for anything other than to become the person you want to become. And through that, advising that we talked about, additional coursework in biology, chemistry, and physics is easily attainable as we work on a semester by semester basis to make sure that there is a great balance for success of each semester working on GPAs. These are just a couple pictures of some of our students. Jimmy Zimmerman looks very thrilled to have all these cords and tubes connected to him as he was conducting a VO2 max test. So again, student involvement in a lab. These metabolic carts are not easy to come by and unique for us to be able to have, and our students have really gained some valuable experience teaching people how to administer these tests. So when we talk about internships, again, just to illustrate for us, these are places that our students currently are or have been in the recent past, working with our hospitals, different physical therapy clinics. There's a lot of private therapy clinics in the area. Community wellness, such as the city of Cleveland Heights Parks and Recreation, they have a senior center that's in there. Students with disabilities, working with people through Empower Sports, Camp Cheerful, and other adults with disabilities as well at places like Montefiore and stuff like that. Private businesses, strength and conditioning in the area, different high schools such as University School, Brush High School, St. Ignatius High School, Walsh Jesuit High School, St. Edward High School, and Beaumont and Benedictine as well. And then also on campus with John Carroll University. So the point of showing you all this stuff is that the opportunities in the area are endless to gain great experiential learning and knowledge to pair with the content knowledge to help the student come to a thoughtful conclusion on which career works best for them and what they wish to pursue as they make their way through their exercise science programs. Again, career paths, just to illustrate for you, the medical career. We actually do have a couple of students that are in medical school to become medical doctors right now. A lot of athletic training that's going on. There's a change now from a bachelor's of science to a master's degree for athletic training, and we're able to help navigate that with our students, as well as physical therapy, getting into the teaching world, the business world, like medical sales and strength and conditioning as well. So many career paths for our students to be able to go into, such as nursing, occupational therapy, cardiovascular rehab, just to name a few. So, Brooke, maybe you'd like to take over. I'm going to be giving you control of the computer right now. So please, and take over. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. My name is Dr. Brooke Turner, as both Brian and Abby had mentioned earlier, and I am faculty in the Mike Cleary Sports Study program. Foundations of this major, as the slide showing, is the study, some of the things that we really focus on in the sports studies side of the major, the study of how sports is present and as a product to the public, the study of sport as human behavior, and then also from an individual and a collective framework. One of the questions that I get often, and I don't know what just happened here. Sorry about that. But one of the questions that I get often is, what can I do with a sports study major? And the question is really it's not what can you do, it's what can you not do, okay? So we're incredibly flexible with what we do, and we work with our students one-on-one with what they want to do, and we make that a reality. So when we're talking about sport, we really focus on the sports studies side about how sport is presented to diverse populations. So we look at everything from the youth in the community to high schools, to colleges, to professional organizations, corporate and businesses, and special populations when you're looking at something like the Special Olympics, for an example. And there's some different components whenever we're talking about how sport is presented. And our side on the sports studies, it's a lot more the business side of sport, where what Brian was talking about with exercise science, it's a lot more of the science side. What I find is incredibly interesting and very diverse from maybe what other schools do is that it makes a whole lot of sense to intertwine these two things. For an example, I was a college volleyball coach for 10 years. I majored in business. Great major, had a really strong foundation. However, there were a lot of things that I didn't learn for a coach that I would have really loved to have that exercise science background in as well, such as nutrition or strength and conditioning. But this side, sports studies focuses a lot on marketing, administration of sport, sport governance when we're talking about the NCAA or even at a high school level, and different facilities, how to manage facilities, how to budget with facilities, the whole spectrum of different things that can come up in these four components. And if you look at this box down here with ethical, sociological, psychological, and data analysis, we're looking at all these different audiences and also these components from each of those four perspectives. So how are students learning to make ethical decisions while focusing on society, the needs of society, what benefits greater society, psychological components, whether it's with an athlete or a coach or an administrator, and data analysis, and we're seeing how sports, as it evolves constantly, how important data is in the collection of data and analyzing the data when making our choices in the sports world. There are so many different opportunities for students when choosing this major. Students can work in front offices as athletic directors or other parts of administration, and marketing or in sales. We have a lot of students going this route as well. Social media and engagement. I think that the social media, these positions in companies and in schools, universities, have really grown a lot in the last probably 10 years, where now just about every team, let alone every college, university, organization has their own social media representative. Scouting, operations, and coaching at various levels. All of these things are things that our students are doing and doing very well. Educational opportunities, we really encourage a student, because unlike this exercise science side, where we could maybe give you muscles and teach you the different parts of the body and have you memorizing and understanding how these muscles work and how these body parts work, with sport, all we can do is equip you with what has happened with sport, what is currently happening with sport, and how we can make you think ethically and critically to make good decisions when these things come up. And so we really force, or encourage, I should say, our students to go on to either have a dual major with economics, so that we have another kind of thing to make us stand out when we go out into the workforce, a business minor, and then therefore a fifth-year MBA. At John Carroll, if you take a business minor with our sports studies major, you're getting all of the classes that you need to get to go on to that fifth-year MBA at John Carroll. So that's incredibly appealing to some students. Entrepreneurship, communications, exercise science, and psychology, all things that are very aligned with our sports studies major, and that students find very helpful moving forward in their career path, whether it's to go on to more school or for a job. We really think that in the sports world, it is about networking and it is about experience. And so we do this in different levels in our sports studies department specifically, also exercise science, but we do this through field observation, practicum, and internship requirements, as well as campus employment opportunities and volunteer experiences. We have on John Carroll's campus a very student-centric sports information department with the JCU Sports Podcast. We have a lot of students working at the sports information department, athletic administration activities like ticketing, facility management, and event planning. We realize in the sports world, especially those people that want to go into professional sports, that they are starting either cold calling people in sales or in ticketing. So we think if we can give them a heads up with that and some experience, then they are really kind of above other students coming out of school. And then coaching experience as well. They're working with our coaches, learning recruiting, learning operations, how to run practices, videos, all the things necessary that, again, when they graduate John Carroll, they have some experience with. And then area partnerships, because we are situated in a perfect place with sports, we have so many opportunities. Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, there's a plethora of different sports, different level of sports. We're blessed to have high schools that help us provide internships for our students. We work with ESPN Cleveland, the Cavs, the Browns, the Indians. Sponsors United has become a really great partnership with us for our students who want to go on to marketing, for example, or sponsorships. Our students are working with them through internships and also getting jobs after graduation with them. We have recently incorporated a global opportunity for our students as well. So every student can go overseas if they want to, or go study abroad for a semester if they choose. But we do have a lot of students that don't want to commit to that entire semester. And so this past fall, and we're going to do it probably every few years, we're going to have a global opportunity that's connected to a class in our department. This past spring, we went to Ireland with our exercise science and sports studies students. It was counted as an elective. We went to different universities. We did some touristy things. This picture on the left is a picture of us at the Cliffs of Moher, but we got to talk to a lot of people in exercise science and sports management and some different universities over there. We went to Croke Park. We spent a day learning their Gaelic games and just about culture of sport, wellness, and physical therapy and athletic training and governance and facilities in another country and how it compared and contrasted to what we do here in the United States. And the last two slides are about our guest speakers and our sports advisory board. We are incredibly lucky to have great people that just really love John Carroll and want to give back to our community. We've had a couple of people over the last few years that have just been incredible for our students to get the opportunity to listen to speak and to meet and network with. The last few years we had, if you see the picture on the bottom left, Tom Telesco, he's the general manager of the San Diego Chargers. He came in and spoke with our students. On the right side, Stipe Miocic. He's a professional mixed martial artist and a firefighter, paramedic, actually here in the Cleveland area. He is a heavyweight champion, and he talked to our students about what it takes to be successful. And then lastly, our advisory board. Sports studies students are lucky to have, and lucky is an understatement, an advisory board full of successful professionals in the sport industry with a passion for helping students to get the most of their education. If you look at the top right, Mike Buddy, he's the athletic director at West Point. He came in and had lunch with some of our students and allowed them to pick his brain about how he got to where he is and just ask questions about their future and what paths they should take. Bottom right, Lee Reed, he came in this past, I think it was this past winter actually. He's the athletic director at Georgetown and gave an incredible talk to our students just about how he got to where he was and the path, and maybe it was an unusual path, but everything kind of happened for a reason. It was incredibly inspiring. And then bottom left, or I guess on the left, is Oliver Luck. He's the CEO currently and commissioner of the XFL. When he came to see us a couple of years ago, he was still with the NCAA, but it was really interesting to hear his take on where the NCAA is going to go in the future, what it looks like, some of the issues that are coming up, and some of the challenges that administrators and coaches face every day in the ever-changing sports world. So to summarize, that is kind of what we do on the sports studies side, and Brian summarized everything that exercise science does in our department as a whole. If you are somebody that is passionate about wellness, about health, about sports, we would love to have you here at John Carroll, and we would love to have you in our sports studies and exercise science department. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Brian and Brooke. We really enjoyed that. Thank you for providing the information on exercise science and sports studies. I hope those who are viewing today's presentation has found it to be informative and enjoyable. We also, if you have any follow-up questions, please direct them to your enrollment manager, and they will make sure to share this information and pass it on to the right department. And for those students who haven't officially committed to John Carroll, we want to remind you that your next steps will begin at your JCU gateway. So we would love to see each and every one of you as part of the John Carroll class of 2024. So please continue to think about your decision, and we look forward to seeing you possibly on campus next year. Thank you.